Only playing. It's chilly today, so I've got my little hood up, so I look like a little turtle. But I'm walking to work, making it happen. Went to the gym this morning, did my push session. Went home and I had a good breakfast. I had some nice 6 egg whites, as you see in the post below. 6 egg whites, tin of tuna, some oats, some scoop of protein. That hit the spot, that did. That's when you need to eat, right after you've done your working out. That's a good time. Your body will take all that stuff and do what it needs to do with it. I eat quite a lot of protein. I wanted to talk about this today because my macros point to a lot of protein, yeah? And that's because like 390 grams of protein a day, and that is ridiculously high, even for, you know, someone trying to make muscle or bodybuilders or whatever. It's high. But the only reason for that is, for me, is because I cut carbs out, or I've got very little carbs in my diet. And when I cut a macronutrient, I can't just hang on a minute, man. Can you hear me all right, dudes? Hi, Emma. Yeah, when you cut a macronutrient out your diet, like carbs, like what I did, you can't just cut that out and not replace those calories. You have to find that calorie deficit somewhere. If I take 800 calories of carbs out of my diet every day, morning guys, if I take 800 calories out of my diet, I have to replace them from somewhere. I can't just not replace them. So that's why my protein is really high. 65% of my daily intake, which is about 1540 calories, or 390 grams. So that's why my protein seems high. It's not because I think, oh, I'm going to eat loads of protein and I'm going to get really muscly. It's just because I cut carbs, I have to do something else. I choose not to have too much fat in my diet because fat doesn't really fill me up. It's very, very calorifically dense, and it doesn't really fill me up. So, you know, I can easily eat 700 or 800, 900 calories of fat and not be filled up at all. So those people laughing at me, man. So you have to, yeah, that's why I choose to put protein. Really fills me up. Things like steak and turkey mince and bolognese and all that kind of stuff, that fills me up, man. So I'm less likely to overeat my calories. That's purely why. I very rarely hit my macros bang on. Very rarely. So these macros there is a decent guide, guys, for you to kind of head towards. You haven't got to be panic stations because you haven't hit, because you're 10 grams down on your protein. Don't worry about that. You know, I see people in other groups who will come into the group and they overcomplicated all this stuff. I'm only really kind of tracking my macros and doing all this stuff now because I've come so far. When you first start, and with no disrespect intended, I'm just trying to simplify it for you guys. When you first start, somebody being on your case about putting 15 ml of semi-skimmed milk in a coffee, that's not what you guys need to be worrying about. That's a tiny, they are like the 0.1 percentiles of progress. What you guys need to worry about is getting your nutrition on point and getting active. When you start talking about supplementation and whey protein and creatines and the 0.1% difference that going to almond milk's going to make or whatever, that's when you are elitist people are the only people that really need to worry about that. For most normal people who just want to lose weight and get healthy, you know, being panicked about 5 or 6 grams of protein or what supplements you're on or any of that stuff, that really isn't where you need to be. That's not kind of what normal people need to do. If you're, like I say, if you're an elitist bodybuilder on stage and you're looking for that extra 0.5%, it's all going to matter. But if you're just, you know, a soccer mum who wants to look a little bit tighter in her bikini on her summer holidays, it just comes down to eating better and just getting out there and getting in, and being a bit more active. You know, you don't need to overcomplicate it, guys, all the time. That's what I see on a lot of groups. That's just my opinion on it. I've done very little in the way of supplementation. I take a glutamine, whey protein and creatine. They're just like amino acids that help you recover, and some protein if I'm low on calories and I'm not hungry but I need to up them a little bit. That's all. So you haven't got to go mad and looking for firmer bowls or fat burners or any of that stuff. The biggest differences are going to come from eating correctly and being active. That's going to be like the 90% change. The other 10% is going to be really tracking your macros and supplementation and all that stuff. But the biggest change will come, like I said, from diet and training. So you haven't got to oversimplify it, you haven't got to overcomplicate it. I had a message from a guy in the group who asked me to kind of like not personal training, but you know, give him some pointers and help and in the politest possible way. I'm helping my mate Lee on here. He's kind of like going to be my little project, but I've got so many people private messaging me, and I've got so many people that want help, and I answer every single person. I've got a notification for everything that goes on in Elon Fitness, and I try to get through the feed as much as I can, but it's so much going on, it's hard to keep track. So I love you all. I'm not ignoring anybody or any of that stuff. You know, I want to talk to everybody. And I started Elon Fitness because I was getting lots of messages from the other groups I was a member of, and people saying, "Oh man, look, I need to do what you did. What are you doing?" So I was answering these people, and it was taking me a long time. So I started the group in the hopes that I could talk to lots of people at once. But then that just kind of supercharged even more people saying, "Look, come and help me, man, come and help me, man." But all the information is in the group. There's a lot of warriors in this group, lots of people that know, you know, there's some runners, there's OCR people, there's bodybuilders, there's bikini models, there's all sorts in this group. So get it up on the feed, guys. Ask your questions and people will help you. Like, I love sharing my knowledge. I love seeing other people making positive changes. There's nothing in this for me at all. Only to be on your little screen right now talking to you about doing cool stuff. So peace and love, dudes. I'm doing my little thing, walking up to work. Watch the video back, anybody just joined in. Just a little bit about, you know, kind of staying the course. Danny Irons is in, Andrew's in it. Andrew Perkins, PT, he reversed the diabetes diagnosis by getting his shit together. How cool is that? Changed his future completely by doing that. I kind of did something similar, but I think he was further down the road than me, and that's impressive. But anyway, peace and love, dudes.